Hello, welcome back to Your Dry Delight. Last time we were, we were just playing the game, and apparently this game is pretty short, so this might be the last episode, or maybe I just read the wrong thing. I'm not sure, but I believe last time Meyer was putting the moves on us and whatnot. He's definitely not a crime boss. We're gonna definitely say that, right? Not a crime boss. Totally not. I mean, he admitted to it, so I guess he is a crime boss. Point is, this is the morning after again. This is the second morning after, so let's go ahead and hop right into it, shall we? Morning, boss. I stumble into the office feeling like a corpse dragged out of its grave. Coffee. Basically just wanted coffee. Richter, this is the second day in a row you've come in looking like a bedraggled cat. Do we need to have an intervention? Fine, just couldn't sleep. Christ, something really is messed up when Leslie shows up at work before me. He lets out a long, playful sigh, shaking his head before taking a sip of his coffee. Well, don't keep me in suspense. Your escapades last night, of course. What happened? What did you find out? Yeah, right. With my own coffee mug in hand, I sink down into my chair, clearing my throat. Going to have to leave out some of the details here, probably. Yeah, you probably shouldn't tell him how you two almost fucked. It probably, conflict of interest. I guess that's a thing. My new friend, Mr. Mayor Eastman, well, he gave me some information about the powerful mob players in the city. Seems like he's really in the loop, huh? I don't know why that face was there. The already pale Leslie seems to suddenly grow a shade paler. He slowly sits down his coffee and leans forward over his desk, brow furrowing as he stares at me. Did you say Eastman? Sure did, boss. Why? Why? Yes. Don't tell me, did you two also used to date? Because that's really awkward. Are you losing your hearing already, boss? You're not afraid of that old... Because Eastman is the man running all of Cleveland, that's why. Yep, he's the main mob boss. We kind of knew it. Leslie raises his voice in excitement and frustration, slamming his fist down on the desk. Dramatic music. All of Cleveland? Yes, all of Cleveland. I found out about him last night at that party I went to. He's well liked and hugely powerful, and most of Cleveland's Italian mafia is terrified of him. Terrified of him. I can speak, I swear. I don't know how on earth you managed to get in his good books, but Eastman is the key to taking down this city's liquor business. In fact, I think that speakeasy itself might be his main base. After we get a bit more information, we should set up a raid. Oh, that's a bit of conflict of interest. He was being so nice to me. I mean, he is a bomb boss. He's not to be trusted. We have to have a goal, sir. I figured Meyer was powerful, but I had no idea he was running all of Cleveland. Leslie is right, obviously. Woo, I cannot talk today. Our department is supposed to be working with the FBI to enforce prohibition here, which means shutting down criminal outfits. This should be a huge step forward. If that's the case, then why do I feel so reluctant? It's not like Mayers trusts me, in fact. I'm sure he doesn't, but I can't imagine putting him behind bars. You've known him for 1 day, sir. 2 days, technically, the 1 day that he met you, and then the second day when you came and he I fucked you and then almost actually fucked you. The point is, you should have no problem putting him behind bars. That's the whole point of you trying to meet with him. Last night was probably just a game, as an attempt to manipulate me onto his side. And yet it didn't feel like that at all. No, it 100% felt like that. You're kind of dumb, Richter. Ahoy, Richter. Are you spacing out? Do you need more coffee? No. Look into my eyes. They're definitely not spaced out. I snap back to the moment, greeted by a curious Leslie staring at me quizzically. No, I was just thinking, boss. We're going about this the wrong way. The wrong way? You have a different idea. When I nod, Leslie tilts his head to the side, motioning for me to continue. If there's anything I can give him credit for, it's that he's usually willing to listen to what I say, even if I'm a junior partner. Let me keep talking to Eastman. Yeah, talking. I'll get more details out of him, I promise. We shouldn't throw him in jail, not yet. Leslie, that's the face I would give. You should not trust this dude. Leslie stares at me in stunned silence. Does it really sound that strange? Yes. Yes, it does. Alarms are going off in the background. There's wee-woos everywhere. Did you hit your head on your way home last night, Richter? Well, he almost hit his head on something. This is the mob boss we're talking about. Yes, Leslie has 100% point. I should have gone with Leslie. He's dangerous, not in line to be the next pope. I don't know what he said to you, but you shouldn't believe him. Just because he hasn't killed you yet doesn't mean he won't once you've outlived your usefulness. Haven't you thought about that? That is how mob bosses work. See, Leslie understands. Richter does not understand. His frustrated, skeptical words echo my own thoughts as much as I hate to admit it. Maybe it's stupid to try and deny them, but before I can control myself, I blurt out the first thing that comes to mind. Oh God, what are you gonna blurt out? He's not a murder machine, Leslie. He's not a one-sided villain who was born bad. He is a mob boss doing mob boss things. Pretty sure that involves murder. I mean, he did say that he doesn't murder. That was the whole last episode where he was like, I totally don't murder. That's not what I do, but still. Leslie's like, sure, most mobsters out there are ruthless bastards, but so are a lot of normal people. Mafia guys aren't some special breed evil to their rotten cores. Meyer, he's a businessman. He uses the law for profit. He's using the law for profit. I know that, and I'm not saying I think it's right. But after talking to him, spending more time with him, kissing him, seeing how he's just a guy like any other, I'll be damned if I don't have more sympathy for him than whatever rich old highbender is handing down orders in the FBI. Leslie, still stunned silence, but this time looks to the side because he knows how big of an idiot Richter is. Leslie stays quiet, biting his bottom lip, a nervous habit of his, and avoiding my gaze for some time. I never raised my voice at him, nor anyone else for that matter. I instantly feel a little sheepish about it, but I don't know how else to express my change of heart. Leslie is still silent, but this time closes his eyes to picture being somewhere else instead of in front of Richter's stupidity. Finally, Leslie rubs at his eyes with one hand and gently sighs, a small smile twitching at the corners of his lips. You fucked him, didn't you? Nope, that's not what he says? Okay. He stands up from his desk and walks over, giving me one of those affectionate, what am I gonna do with you looks. I guess I'm not all that surprised. You've always been compassionate and honest, probably why you're a terrible liar. He pauses, reaching out to gently ruffle my hair, as if I'm some dog that he keeps wanting to do that to. There's still a worried crease in his brow, but I think he's trying his hardest to believe in me. If you really, really think this man isn't out to just screw us over, and he'll be of use to the investigation somehow, then I suppose I'm willing to go along with it for a little while at least. Boss, a little while, I said. Hey, what? I jump out of my chair and pull Leslie into a hug, tightly squeezing his wiry frame. He stiffens for a moment, but eventually wraps his arm around me too, softly patting my back. I sure hope you know what you're doing, Richter. If something ever happened to you, well, let's just say I have a hard enough time living with myself already. Why? Because you're so high maintenance? Exactly. You know how many times a day I have to feed myself? It's very difficult, and having guilt on my shoulders won't help things any. I'll be fine, boss. Don't worry about me. As we pull apart, I gaze down into Leslie's face for a moment. He still doesn't look fully convinced, and it's perfectly reasonable. We're paid to be suspicious. I'll bring him around to the idea eventually. If everything works out, he's open-minded to just about everything, given enough time. Except vegetables. Maybe he doesn't like vegetables. You know, it's a broccoli thing when he was younger. It just happens. It's just, don't worry about it. After we discuss things a little more, Leslie and I settle about our usual routine of paperwork calls and more paperwork. It's not like our workday normally flies by, but today the hours seem especially long. At last, evening rolls around. When I head outside, my feet start to take me down a familiar road before I even realize it. Welcome, sir. Please enjoy your night. Loud music rushes over me in a wave. The familiar sea of dancers, lights, and sparkling glasses. This place is starting to grow on me. Some jazzy music, I love it. To my surprise, I spot Meyer already standing by the bar, a cup of coffee in hand as he chats with the bartender. Should I go up to him? I don't want to come off too strong. Maybe I should casually strike up conversation with someone else and wait for... Oh, he looks at me immediately. Okay, that makes sense. Just so that I mull over my plan, Meyer's gaze meets mine. He instantly breaks into a warm smile, beckoning me over. I wander towards the bar and step up beside him, clearing my throat to buy time as I figure out what to say. Well, it seems like my detective wandered back to me. Did your flock of officers decide to come along today too? Nah, I left them at home with the sitter. Good, I can't tell how disappointed I was that when they decided to interrupt. Yeah, interrupt your sexy times because you're trying to swindle me into doing things that I probably shouldn't be doing. I'm on to you, sir. His suggestive, airy murmur sends a tingle down the back of my neck. At least I wasn't the only one who was disappointed. Richter, keep it in your pants. We have a job to do. Yeah, well, I was really looking forward to the rest of that cake. What kind of cake you're talking about? I'm afraid I enjoyed the rest of it by myself, but I was thinking of you all the while. Does that make you feel any better? Not one bit. Meyer lets out one of his deep chuckles, low and comforting. It always seems like his sly, evasive mask melts away for a split second whenever he laughs, betraying something vulnerable. Listen, Richter, if you'd prefer, we can always linger out here and talk. As much as I want to savor all of you in private, I'm more than happy to just enjoy your company, discussing whatever flights of fancy we have. I probably shouldn't have said that. I imagine my seductive air of mystique is all but ruined for you now. No, I hadn't even... Never mind. His leg lightly brushes against mine underneath the bar, out of sight. He's so bold, this guy. I can see how he got into his line of work, no doubt about that. Actually, I wanted to ask you some more serious questions. Like, what other desserts do you like? Do you also have a different kind of cake? Like chocolate, perhaps, I don't know. Privacy might work better, just, as a precaution. Of course, I have no doubt that your reasons are entirely... Hold on. Somebody screamed. It's the cops! Huh? At that moment, the speakeasy door flies open and a small group of officers rush in. Screams echo through the parlor after the music cuts off, but the cacophony quickly grows silent. Eastman's men can't even reach for their guns. The officers are already aiming their own. And at the head of the group stands Leslie. Oh no, the heel turn by Leslie. Richter. The second our eyes meet, he rushes over to me, releasing a huge sigh of relief. He followed me. That's of course what's gonna happen. Richter, thank God you're not hurt. Sir, he wasn't gonna hurt me. I mean, unless that's what he's into. He's probably not into that. Point is, I'm fine. He's fine. I thought for sure that. We had an agreement, Leslie, didn't we? How can you just swarm in here after me? Don't you trust me? When I managed a choked accusation, Leslie just shakes his head, eyes narrowed. It's not about trust, Richter. It's not about the job. To hell with information gathering. The thing I care most about is keeping you safe. From boy toys like Meyer. Richter, you're too honest, too trusting, and I just can't let you run around with people like this, even for the sake of an investigation. He gestures at Meyer angrily, apparently having guessed his identity already. I'm in stunned silence, or Richter is. I'm the narrator. Leslie was really worried about me. I knew he was still concerned, I just didn't think he'd go this far. Meyer is also in stunned silence, but, still casually has his knuckles on his chin. Everyone is in stunned silence. Everyone has dots, all the ellipses. Meyer, who's been entirely silent this whole time, watches us with a carefully measured expression. How can he be so calm? He had no idea what was going to happen, did he? Gentlemen, I believe there's been some severe miscommunication. Leslie says nothing. Meyer, please, Mr. Leslie, tell your men to lower their weapons. Then we can discuss things calmly without the threat of accidental bloodshed. Agreed. Take the offer. Leslie, tell them to lower their weapons. Leslie hesitates. You should tell them to lower their weapons. There's no reason for guns to be out at a time like this. This is a lovely place where we drink and have merriment. Did you not hear the fun music a second ago? There's this very strange degree of trust going on here, but I get the sense that neither of them wants it to end in violence. I know Leslie hates hurting anyone, even criminals, and Meyer doesn't seem the type to enjoy it either. Understood. He signals to the officers, who slowly, reluctantly lower their guns. The tension in the room eases a little bit, though it's still far from calm. Let me say first, Mr. Leslie, that I understand your concern for your partner's safety. But you see, after our friend Richter showed up here another night, I was struck with an idea. I knew he was a detective before he so as much walked in the door. Your informant's working for me, so I decided to have a chat with him. You mean back there that was... Don't get me wrong, Richter, I was enjoying every second of it. But I've been looking for a way to work out an arrangement with the law in Cleveland for some time. You're a hard-headed sort here, let me tell you. He exhales a breath before his teeth, gently shaking his head. Richter, however, I could tell that he was made of something different, not so hell-bent on enforcing the Volstead Act, yet not the type to be bought either. I was intrigued. So I thought I'd try to work out a deal, as is my way. Last night I was supposed to be the beginning of that deal, but, well, I was enjoying the company so much that I thought to myself, what harm can it be to wait a little longer? Richter looks off to the side, confused, worried, also wondering if he could get some more of that cake. When Meyer's glimmering eyes settle on me, I feel my heart skip a beat. Maybe several beats. Is it a heart attack? I'm not sure. He invited me back to make a deal, but it spiraled into something more because he enjoyed my company. So you really believed we wouldn't try to arrest you? It was a calculated risk, of course. I'm just really bad at math. Meyer casually waves one hand. The way he keeps this kind of sang-froid even while surrounded by the law, no wonder he's a leader. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. I like to make big gambles, and usually they pay off. Sometimes you got to put all the money on 23. But I've done my research on your backgrounds, your past jobs. I knew you wouldn't simply raid my venue without showing a few of your cards first. So you could say the chips landed where I thought they might. Leslie is stunned. His icy blue eyes stare directly at Meyer. Leslie rubs his cheek with a hand, blinking rapidly, as if to try to understand everything we just heard. I can't blame him. I knew Meyer was sharp, but I had no idea he'd planned everything out ahead of time. You know, even though we're the ones with our guns out, I can't shake the feeling that we played right into your hand. You really do live up to your reputation, don't you? I was expecting Leslie to be furious, but instead he sounds more impressed than anything. Is it possible that he actually took some of my words to heart back in the office? You mentioned a deal earlier. Can you explain what kind of deal we're talking about? I was hoping you'd ask that. You just need to go to the store and get me some cake. A particularly satisfied smirk curls on Meyer's lips, the type a man wears when he's just won at cards. Why don't we discuss matters privately on neutral? Oh God, he's inviting both of us to the back room. It's gonna be a three-way. I'll even let you pick the spot, all of us disarmed, with a few of our men waiting outside. A moment, if you don't mind. He's gonna beckon me over. Ah! Leslie grabs my sleeve and pulls me aside, leaning to whisper in my ear. You really trust him enough to do this? Normally I'd say it's suicide, but this Meyer, he's not like any other man I've ever met. It's like talking to the chief of a big corporation, not a mafia leader. He scratches his head, clearly baffled. It's not like I can blame him. I felt the same way when I first met Meyer the other night. I know he doesn't mean us any harm, boss. He's still a gangster, I can't deny that, but I pause, swallowing. Better words. Well, that better word things delicately, or else Leslie might catch on. I think he genuinely wants to work out a deal with us. All of this would be way too much trouble otherwise. My thoughts exactly. You think we should hear him out then? Without hesitation, I nod. Maybe it's an incredibly stupid decision. It is, by the way, but I can't bring myself to believe all of last night was just a means to an end. If you don't mind me saying, Mr. Leslie, I gather you're the type to take precautions. Meyer pipes up airily, and we both glanced over towards him. Should the two of you not show up in perfect health tomorrow, I'm certain I'll have a big hassle on my hands, and that's not what I want, I assure you. You really did do your research, didn't you? It's a favorite hobby of mine. So that means you know what size underwear Richter wears. Boss, the Leslie. He would have known that anyway yesterday if you didn't interrupt the okay, sorry. I'm afraid you'll have to barter for that information. Oh, you drive a hard bargain, do you? I like that. The tension in here could be cut like butter. Great, just great. After a little more discussion, the three of us settle on a hotel room for our meeting spot. I would have rather had the back room. At least I could have yelled and people would have came. Now people are going to yell and people would, never mind. The unfortunate patrons who had to witness all that, well, they're sent home and promised free drinks when they come back. In this day and age, that's probably enough to risk being shot. Once that mess is sorted out, the three of us head to a hotel with our respective men. I can't even begin to imagine how tonight will end, but I have a hope for the best. To continue the story, pick different choices and play through Leslie's route. Both routes lead to one ending, but you'll need to understand both sides of the story. Unless both sides win, no agreement can be permanent. Interesting. You have to continue the story also through Leslie's route. Neat. So, I think this is a good episode, or a good end. It's only 20 minutes long. That's okay. Next time, we're going to, I guess, continue the story going through Leslie's route. Goodbye, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. Hit the like button. It makes me feel good about myself.